Hey guys, just wanted to show off today the Disciple of Varashta level 94 Jin that I've been working on for a while now. This is a pretty complete build, at least for where I will like it, where I want to be, and I've been able to use it to farm, the rest of my content, which has been nice. And I will be throwing it at some pinnacle bosses. It's really the only content that I haven't thrown it at just yet, but as you can see here, we've got some good physical damage reduction. We've got some decent evasion rating, and this is really just in place to give us some good ghost shrouds. And the physical damage reduction is actually coming from our ascendancy, where we are taking sacred rituals. 60% of our energy shield is added to armor for determining your physical damage reduction from armor. You would think that this would actually add flat armor, but what it actually reads and how it does it is that it gives us physical damage reduction percentage. So that's why you can see a 28 to 66. As we lose energy shield, we lose essentially that 60% effectiveness. So, as we take damage, our armor goes down. As we take damage, our armor goes down. So that's why I thought Ghost Shrouds was a great idea to help, get that energy shield recovery coming back and also help us with our energy shield recharge delay. We have 2.2 seconds here. So that helps us get it back, at least in white mobs. Rare mobs and magic mobs and, certain accurate mobs are probably still likely going to land a hit. That's not a true 47% in the end game. But, it does help us out in the long run here. And again, we are also taking all of our elemental damage from our mana pool as well. So with, between 8.9k energy shield here and 1.1k mana, we're actually pretty effective HP. I think we've got about like 41k effective HP, which is enough again to help us clear. And yeah, I didn't really take any of the minion stuff in the tree or anything like that. And I also don't have any time lost jewels. So the build can be, improved actually. And, there's better jewels that you can get and likely better gear that you get in softcore. So the way that we're doing this though is that we are using Fury of the King. The Sphere of the King is all fire damage mostly. So being that we have a substantial amount of fire damage here, I thought it would be great to just convert it to cold. So 100% of our fire damage is converted to cold damage here. And it's just a great talisman in general. Once you get to this level, you have enemies in your presence have exposure, which really helps out with the elemental damage. The reduced attack speed, that's unfortunate, but you really don't feel it with a lot of these skills. And yeah, Molten Crash is a fun little skill. You get some build up here. So I really like Fear of the King. I think it might be best in slot just for convenience and overall, damage. Again, you could probably maybe craft something a little crazy in softcore or what have you and do what you need there. But I also take the Chevron Satchel here. This is so that we could still use a life flask. It's really important that we do try to remain at full energy shield as much as possible. So I like to take a charges recovery and an instant flask just to be able to spam this flask whenever I need to get my energy shield back up. If I'm ever getting surrounded, I do want to make sure that, we try to keep our armor tip top. And yeah, other than that, we kind of just focus on, your average resis and getting your energy shield up here and, get some spirit, get some global defenses. This is actually pretty decent amulet here. And, yeah, kind of hover over all this for you guys. Won't really do anything crazy at the end. And I'll explain how the build works in a map. And I'll at least maybe go over the gems at the end. Forge map is a lot of fun. As Marion Rages, that seems like a pretty fun map, right, guys? Do I have a tier 15 ready? I do not. Let me slam this one, guys. Let me get you going here. Perfect. Okay, so this one's got some magic monsters, got some rare monsters, reduced damage from crits. So see the mods there, pretty solid. Actually, great map. So I like the ranges. This really cool build. Oh yeah, my tablets. I think I've just thought some deliriousness on there. So this will be a nice little juice 15er for us. All right, so as you can see, the rage is building on its own. We do rock the internal rage to be able to just get this going, and then that also feeds our walking calamity. So you could just sit here on the map for the first few seconds and just wait till that's fully gone to be able to then proc that and then start rampaging around. guys have probably seen this type of gameplay before. It's nothing too crazy, nothing too new. And then we add some molten crashes into the mix. Whenever we see a rare, it's nice to just kind of crash onto them. And I'll kind of just stomp around. This guy's got an invincibility aura. So, and then whenever you're out of rage, you can just do a couple slaps here with our basic mauling attack, and that gets our rage right back. And so we also prop the wolf off. That gives us extra cold damage to our attacks. So as you can see, we have 6 stacks now of added cold damage. And this carries on for the entire duration of the rampage, which is actually quite nice for a cold damage boost to be able to just prime, create some chilled ground. As you can see, those little blue kind of orbs on top of enemies. So when they're primed for freeze, like that enemy there, or these enemies here, then you can use the wolf to then proc those freezes just like that. And that again gives you some nice empowered attacks here where you're going to have added cold damage. So as you can see, you can kind of just stomp around, do the thing here. It's something too crazy. Occasionally just pop a mob. I am playing pretty slow, but you can go much faster. I do play hardcore, so I kind of like to just take my time anyways, play the game. I don't really zoom and then end up in a pack of mobs that I didn't need to be. Not that this build's not tanky enough to handle it. It actually really is one of the more tanky builds that I've ever played. There are some limitations to what it can do, of course, right? You're getting swarmed. So I maybe, wouldn't want to take it into, the full end game delirium content. Because there's just, a ton of mobs in there, but that stuff's can be difficult to clear for a lot of builds anyways. So a bit of stomping around here. Try to get as far into this deliriousness as possible. We are starting to lose it a little bit, so. Oh, this is going to be a fun shrine. I love getting extra cold damage on a cold damage build. Go ahead and just pop the Calamity here. And I've noticed on some of my videos that the gameplay is quite loud, so I try to turn that down this time around so that you guys can actually hear my voice as I'm playing. Again, I don't really put a lot of effort into these videos, and these videos are not really, these builds are not meant to be like fully completed builds. If you guys want that, just make a comment and I can always drop like a more in-game version of a POB that, is really min-maxed. I don't mind doing that. And, showing you what it would look like, at full potential, if you were to go that route. But, typically I kind of just get my builds to a place that feel fun and comfortable and, are able to clear tier 15s, are able to, do decent single target, do decent clear. Sometimes they serve, purpose. Sometimes they don't. Let's see if we get a monkey out of this. This will be interesting. Pop this monolith here. No monkey this time. So just going to go ahead and curse him and instant deleted. And no, that's great. Wow, not a lot of mobs here. Okay, so we're going into the boss now. Boss rotation is very easy. We just curse it, mark it, and slam it. So hit it with the curse. Whoops, accidentally brought up my skills. And go ahead and do this. I'm just kind of, I could have killed it much faster, but you can see there, plenty of boss DPS. I wanted to kind of show off the rotation. If you needed the rotation, honestly, I could have just probably molten crashed on there 2 or 3 times and she would have been dead. But, if you do come to a tricky boss, basically, you hit it with the curse, you hit it with the mark, you do a couple of molten crashes, so you just get your full fissures. And then what I like to do is hit it with our Furious Slam slap. Furious Slam Slap, Furious Slam Slap. Or when these Molten Crashes are down, you can also do a little Rampage as well. But I like kind of staying on target, so that's why I like the Furious Slam and Slap. Also, make sure you're walking Calamities, popping off. And if you ever get, the Prime for freeze there, you can always use the Arctic Howl there to, get that freeze to pop off if you didn't already instant freeze the boss like I did. So yeah, it's very, very great in terms of clear, in terms of tankiness, in terms of boss damage. It's a great looking build, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. Haven't died at all, and yeah, so I'll show you guys kind of the skill setup here, how this is. Essentially, we use Maul as a rage generator. So this is attached with more elemental damage, close combat, ancestral call 2. Rage 3. This gives us an extra rage, and then this also gives us rage. It's about 10 rage on hit and rapid attacks. Molten Crash. This is the skill that we get from Fury of the King. And as you can see here, it creates these nice fissures. So how we end up doing this is like whenever you jump, it creates fissures. And it consumes some rage in order to create one additional fissure, right? And so all that fissure is converted to fire damage, which again is converted to cold damage in our build. So it's quite nice. But the way that we do this is just elemental armament, magnified area, crater, and this gives us, extra fissures as well, up to 9. And then Chaos Madness, which also gives us 3 additional fissures. So that's why if you slam twice, get pretty much your maximum amount of fissures or enough fissures to then start, slamming on top of them the rest of your skills here. And the fissures are quite nice to add some extra damage here. They do pop off. So the Walking Calamity, this is our, just fun clear skill, and, raining down fires that are cold converted, so more like comets. But essentially, this does require glory to use, so that's why I really like, one, the Fury of the King for this build, because it generates glory, and then also the Eternal Rage to help keep that up. And of course, the Maul whenever you need rage as well. So the Walking Calamity, essentially when you're over rage, you're able to generate glory, so it's quite nice. And yeah, Meteors fall from the sky. Everybody kind of really knows about this skill by now. I do socket in Frozen Spite in this to create ice fragments on killing frozen enemies. This deals 10% of the target's maximum life, so it scales, all the way into the end of the game with you. Quite nice to have a little extra clear on top of the Walking Calamity there. We do Embitter to, do any extra gained damage. It goes to cold as well. Again, being that, all of our fire damage is cold converted, doesn't mean like our lightning and things like that aren't as well. So I wanted to make sure that any damage modifiers that I get in the tree, which I think are a couple like extra as fire and stuff like that modifiers, still come out as cold, at least for Walking Calamity. I just really wanted to be able to proc freezes with this, which is why I got more freeze buildup, more skills effect duration. And the reason why I wanted to get more freeze with this is because of the Hater's Vengeance here. Whenever you freeze a target, you gain one, for each one rage you have, you and your allies and your presence gain 1% of cold damage for 20 seconds. So, we are at max rage. We have 30 rage. So this is going to be 30% gain extra as cold for 20 seconds whenever we have frozen targets. So quite nice with the Walking Calamity. Rampage, we just socket in with Elemental Armament, Ice Bite 2 for extra gain cold, Magnified Area, Aftershock 2, and Rapid Attacks. None of my builds really feature crazy lineage gems that are super expensive or anything like that. So you can, socket in whatever you would need. Rigwald's Ferocity or, maybe even, some of the resistances, the Rakiatya's Flow, reduced resistances, whatever you want really would work as well to give you some more damage. But again, I just like to get my builds to a good place that feel comfortable, allow me to kind of get my next build going. And so anyways, the Furious Slam here, we do also kind of have this very similar setup, Elemental Armament, Concentrated Area, Fist of War 2, Aftershock, and Rapid Attacks. I like this again, just so that you can kind of keep central. It slams twice, and so it procs our Molten Crash. It's quite nice. I do enjoy the skill. Arctic Howl, we have, again, as more of a prime for freeze type of mechanic here, where we saw those little blue crystals, and then anytime that happens, you can prime them, you can freeze them, and then it starts to empower your attacks. The empowered attacks grant added cold damage. So just very synergistic with our build. So we get, nice added cold damage to our Rampage or Molten Crash or Furious Slam. Also, fun fact about this is that you can, obviously get this set up with a couple different things. So there's an interesting line in here that says that this causes empowered slams to create chilled ground. So, as I'm slamming around with Rampage, I'm also creating a bunch of chilled ground. You can also set this up with Frost Nexus so that when this freezes an enemy, so whenever you proc that freeze on this explosion, it also creates more chilled ground. So, actually, I was originally conceptually having this build to be a minion build where we could take the Navaria's Fracturing here, and it deals a ton of cold damage, but it has to fracture chilled ground. So I actually leveled with this for a little bit where I took in the tree a bunch of the command minion nodes here, a bunch of the minion damage nodes and so on. And really just was using these bear skills as a chilled ground generator, and then would hit with the Navaria's Fracturing for big damage. So you can actually do a pretty memey minion build with this. I encourage anybody that's watching to maybe try that and then let me know how it goes, or maybe I'll convert it at the end of the league and show you guys what that would look like, because it was a lot of fun. So again, Arctic Howl, quite nice. And then we really just, the rest of this is to lower enemies' resistances. We only really use this on tough rares or bosses, so everybody knows elemental weakness. Get that with Expand, Focus Curse, Heightened Curse, Rapid Casting 2, Freezing Mark. We hit with Charge Mark. We hit with Mark of the Siphoning. We hit with Eternal Mark, and we hit with Blind 2. So quite nice for both of those. Freezing Mark really gives us gained as extra cold here as well. So cold all the way down through the line here. So even though that, our damage is showing 19K here or whatever, as you saw, like with everything stacked up on that boss, I mean, we did 1 million damage in like a second. So, take that with what you will. Oh yeah, I had Arc Circuit in here because I found a staff that I was going to be converting my Titan over to. So, but anyways, we also have Ghost Dance. Ghost Dance is really just to, help us with our energy shield generation. And this is coming off of the evasion. So that's why I do kind of split the evasion. I did not go any armor in this build because I think that the physical damage reduction that you get from the ascendancy is plenty. So you really just want to stack as much energy shield as possible. And then, I thought, again, splitting the evasion was a great idea to help with the energy shield recharge. The 2 seconds that we have between each recharge, and then also, again, the Ghost Dance. And then Eternal Rage, just gives us rage per second. And then I've got that socketed with Precision for some increased accuracy and Clarity for some mana generation. So that's really, the build. Again, kind of highlight over some of the gear for those who might have missed it at the beginning. And then for the combat arm, attack speed actually was quite nice. Evasion rating, that's okay. Movement speed while sprinting, also decent. Block chance doesn't do anything for our build. For the charms, you're going to want to get Immune to Ignite. Onslaught, whenever you have unaffected by slow, this is nice. And then cannot be stunned. So yeah, that was kind of the build, guys. Hope that you've enjoyed it.